Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Autonomous vehicles are rolling towards us at an amazing rate.
They're flying at us too, Marlo.
I know. Autonomous flying cars will be fluttering in our skies in just a few years. With that said, you don't have to wait to start using autonomous technology. We're going to review our top picks of autonomous mowers and vacuum cleaners.
Now that I like, an autonomous mower.
I know.
Yep.
So we have actually a list of those we're going to go over today. And it's that time of year, so maybe you are looking for a new mower, and maybe you don't want to mow anymore. So I think this will be a cool little show for that. We'll also chat about amazing advances in the autonomous farm sector. We have some great new machines, and these autonomous, you can't call them tractors. I'm just going to call them machine. Rockin, Dave, Blair, and myself will be talking about that in a little bit, and we'll also be joined by a representative from PhotoSpring to talk about an amazing way to share photos and videos with loved ones. At the control panel, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Hi.
So did you watch the launch this weekend?
No, I didn't get to see it. I was out and about. No, I didn't see the Kentucky Derby either.
I didn't see
Which
that
has
either.
nothing to do with us.
I know.
I just missed it.
Do you know who won?
Justify.
It was Justified to watch. Yeah, no. So, yeah, I didn't watch it either. I almost always watch the Kentucky Derby.
You do?
Can't believe I didn't catch it this year.
I tried to watch them all. I tried to watch all three races.
Yeah,
the Preakness coming up from Baltimore, and then the Belmont.
Yep. So,
New York.
Yeah, so the launch was cool too. Out of California.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was to Mars, and it was called the Insight.
Now, was this from Virginia? This wasn't from the peninsula in Virginia, was it?
It was from California.
California?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how does that work? Because they launch, and, of course, the planes go to the east because they follow the rotation of the Earth.
That's correct.
Because it's an easier trip that way.
How do you know this? I didn't take you for a space guy.
Well, I read it somewhere.
Because you're right.
I happened to remember.
It happened in California.
It did, and you're right. Especially most of the time when they're sending autonomous or robotic flights, they usually go from Florida,
from west to east,
because
if there's a problem, it'll drop over the ocean.
Right.
And it won't hit. Hopefully, it won't hit anybody.
Right.
Unless there's somebody out there on a cruise liner, and they all should be sunk anyway.
Maybe they're just getting more confident in their ability,
or they just figured it's going to be all open country over the first part of the trip,
and
anyway.
it is.
Over Nevada. If it goes down the middle of nowhere, Nevada,
exactly. But this is cool. So they're and of course on the other microphone, Rockin' Dave Blair.
Rockin' Dave, baby.
Dave. So, did you watch it?
I did not.
It was cool because it was shrouded in fog.
Oh my!
So as I was watching
that would be interesting.
It was dark and foggy, and this they got it kind of lit up, but you can't really see it because it was really foggy. It was.
Did you see like a light, like a puffy thing of light going up?
Oh yeah, when and you could see the capsule when it was getting ready to go too, but it wasn't like your typical space launch, where everything's so crystal clear and the photography is so great and everything else. This was it was cool. It was eerie. And when it took off, you just seen the whole cloud bank just kind of, or the fog bank just kind of lit up,
Well, if you ever sat at a grade crossing on a really cloudy day and you're waiting for the train to come and you hear it but you don't see it, then suddenly you see this light in the middle of nowhere and the light gets brighter and then the train pops.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I wonder how many Californians protested.
I have no idea.
Why? Why would they protest?
Well, because there's the action of the rockets and the air quality and all that stuff.
And all that.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if they got a permit.
Yeah. I wonder if they got a permit for the volcanic activity over in Hawaii right now, because that's emitting all kinds of
Hawaii.
Yeah.
So anyway, six-month journey to Mars, and that's the other thing that surprised me is that didn't it used to be a year and a half?
Yeah, I was surprised too. It's going to be there, November?
November. They're going to land in November.
I know.
I'm like, if it's only going to take 6 months to get there now, where do I sign up for this trip?
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Well, remember we're working on Mars habitat here,
I
so
know.
we're going to be booked in on that first flight, Marlo. I already got our tickets.
I'm thinking I have 6 months worth of Netflix to catch up on, so I would take this trip. So anyway, it's gonna be cool. They're gonna measure. They're going to drill down about 16 feet into the surface. They're going to do that. So this is a pretty cool. They're basically looking for aquifers, among other things. I guess they're looking at how the planet wobbles a little bit too. But
now that's water, underground water?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
frozen
underground aquifers.
Well, we had a guy on our tech ranch here a couple months ago.
Scott, right?
Yeah, that's been involved with this. So a lot of it has to do with the deadly soil material that is there. So we got to wash it. So obviously, two things: we've got to find water.
Yep.
It's not going to be a problem if it's frozen because they'll heat it up with solar panels or whatever.
Right.
But the big thing is going to be can we use Mars soil for growing
Right,
things?
and it has to be washed first.
Exactly.
It's kind of a crazy process when you think about it. You have to wash the soil.
Yeah.
But I guess, as he said,
to get the toxins out.
Right.
Yeah.
But I guess it's an easy process. If you can get water to it, you can wash it out. So
Exactly.
So that's interesting. So anyway, I was excited about that. Over the weekend too, I worked with my grandsons, and we put together a Google Voice box.
Oh.
And so we built it out of a Raspberry Pi, and you get a little cardboard kit, and you actually fold a box up, and you place your speaker in this little cardboard box, and it was kind of amazing. And last night it took us about, I'm guessing, an hour and a half or 2 hours. I mean, there's a little bit of a learning curve. The kids want to know more about what's going on, and I thought that was cool that they were excited to build this thing, right? And at the end of it, you say, "Okay, Google." And you say ask what the weather's like outside or what the score of the Minnesota Twins is, and she comes right back out of this cardboard box. It's pretty cool.
How old's your grandson again?
Well, grandson. So Max is 12, Logan is 10. So
wow, this could
12
be,
and 11.
This could be a good science project.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is that you hook it up to the Google Voice. I'm trying to remember active board, and you can actually train it to transcode your voice to word. I mean, so that it will actually send you an email with what you've spoken or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, like a voice text type of deal, right? So I am pretty excited about learning about that too. Out of this, and we played Minecraft with this. It's like the little tiny computer inside this cardboard box, right? And could do word processing with it. We browsed the internet on this thing. I mean, it hooks up to the TV screen I got in that office. It was pretty cool. So.
Well, that's the cool thing about that is you're doing stuff with your grandkids,
Exactly, right.
And they're asking questions, and knowing you don't have any of the answers.
That's right. No. That's why we have Google.
That's a great time.
So yeah, we had a great time there. So. We were just up in Estevan a week and a half ago too, Saskatchewan. So after the break, everybody, we'll talk about what we saw there. And I don't know about you, Dave, but I was blown away by the farm equipment.
Amen.
I thought it was amazing. So if you're a farmer or interested in that, you need to hear what we saw.
Right now, 66.
On Twitter, Facebook, online, and YouTube. SuperTalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank everybody who follows us across the country and around the world. We're on the Blueberry Network, on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's Tech, it's here. We're on TuneIn, iTunes, Roku, Apple TV, and our own app, Radio Pup. And, of course, SuperTalk 1270 now has an app, too. So all kinds of places you can catch the show live. Or if you hear something that you want to catch later, you can hop on there, too. Just go to SuperTalk1270.com or the Tech Ranch. Either one of those two will get you to where you need to be if you want to hear this show again. So, Rockin' Dave Blair in studio along with Jim Walsh. We're talking a little bit about the Estevan Technology Summit that Dave and I was just at about a week and a half ago.
We had one of the promoters on the show about a month ago?
Yeah.
Dave? You and I were here?
Yeah, that was Dwight.
Oh, yeah.
The economic development person from Estevan.
Good man.
Yes.
Yeah, it was, and I thought it was a great expo, actually.
Yeah, it's always, whenever you have a first-time event, you don't know what to expect, but we had government officials there.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Yep, and I think we were about 2 minutes away from being evacuated there for a little bit with that fire that broke out. But it was pretty breezy that day, and the fire broke out, about a quarter mile away from the building, I suppose.
You're up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Was it kind of woodsy where you were?
No, it's just grassy. But they actually had a fire alert that day, and all of a sudden, here comes a fire. So.
We went across the railroad tracks, and the guys were out there welding.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what happened.
I guess that's what happened.
You know, but it's it's
sparks flew.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would assume they're dealing with a drought like we are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So anyway, one of the companies that we had the privilege of hearing about is a company called Seedmaster, and I think they've been around for quite a while.
I've heard the name.
The gentleman who founded the company retired, and then has this new drive, I guess you could say, about making autonomous farm equipment, and that's kind of what got him started. So he's developed this thing, what they call the DOT platform. So DOT was it his aunt Dorothy, I think it was, that he named this platform over. And it basically is a platform that you buy, so you don't have to buy a bunch of extra equipment, right? You buy the platform, and then if you need a seeder, you have an attachment that goes on top of this thing. If you need to spray your crops, it's the same piece.
Yep.
You just buy the sprayer and attach it to it. It kind of reminded me of Legos.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you have the base platform that you put down for Legos, and then you can just add things on top of it as you need to, and you use the same tool over and over and over again.
Well, you know, the cool thing is that if you... I was there, and I got a chance to talk a little bit about autonomous vehicles. The one autonomous vehicle, the flying car, was a drone that attaches to the top of the car.
Right.
Well, you know, I'm thinking, why can't we do that with... I don't have to buy a car. I already have one. Just get a super drone that hooks onto my car, lifts me up, and takes me places.
Well, I think you're going to start seeing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and even autonomous vehicles, the long-term goal of autonomous vehicles, especially if you're an electric car, is you buy the base of the car. And when you get tired of the car that you have on it, you just go swap out the shell.
Yeah.
So if you want to move from a sports sedan to a minivan, right? Then you can do that because you already have the base. You just take the top part off and switch it around. So that kind of thinking goes to this DOT platform.
Exactly. Yep. And you know the thing is that farmers, you know, they've got so much equipment out there.
Crazy.
You know, and
it sits idle.
Yeah, you know,
350 days a year.
Exactly.
And then they got to pull the combine out, and they got to pull the seeder out.
That's why I always thought too. Why don't you like the? I think it's the Headerites. I mean, they have a big commune, but they only have one piece of equipment, and everybody uses it.
Right.
I mean, that would be kind of the situation as a farmer, is you share with other farmers out there.
But what's really, I think, you know, and of course, everything we're talking about here, this is also an autonomous platform.
Exactly.
So once you map your field, the device goes out and takes care of the seeding for you. It takes care of fertilizing. It takes care of the harvesting piece. I mean, all of this stuff is done with this one platform. And I mean, even when you're looking at it, you know what it reminds me of? It looks like a couple of storage containers sitting on top of this platform. I think the top two pieces here, think of long rectangular pieces stacked on top of each other. And the top piece, I think, on this seeder holds the seed.
Right.
Like 300 bushels of seed or something like that, so you can do your whole field. I mean, I'm not a farmer. I have no idea how much 300 bushel will seed, but I'm guessing that's quite a bit. Maybe not.
You know, I can't answer that.
I guess it depends. Every farmer's going out there, well, you idiot. It depends on if you're planting corn or grain or whatever, too, which is
exactly.
true. Yeah. So anyway, I just think this DOT platform is something that you're going to see, and I think you're going to see it. They're actually making it so it's trying to think of the best way to say it, but you could. They're giving you the specs, so if you're another company, you can actually develop other things. So one of the things I was thinking about afterwards is, you know, like cargo ships, right? You could have these autonomous platforms just running back and forth hauling containers from the ship over to the storage
to
unit
the dock,
or whatever.
from the dock back.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know, and somebody could develop something using the DOT platform to do stuff like that. Or if you have a college campus that you need to move stuff around on, I mean, maybe even a people mover could be developed with this thing. You just put the shuttle on top of it and it moves you around. I mean, I don't know.
Well, and I think, the interesting thing is as he develops more uses for this platform, there's going to have weight restrictions too of what it can handle.
Sure.
But, like anything else, I mean, you can build it to fit this, because I'm sure those containers that are going on those ships, I mean, they're pretty dang heavy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So,
but we're talking about farm equipment
I know
here.
Exactly.
That's many tons of stuff, too. So,
right,
yeah. It's pretty amazing to me. So anything else stick out from the conference?
Well, we had one of our partners, John Nagel, on with Cybernet Security, right. And again, we hear daily about breaches happening out there and how to protect yourself. So, I thought that he did a very nice job.
I thought John was excellent
talking about that. Back to the farming thing, and I've mentioned this in the past too. Is that, it's getting harder and harder for farmers to hire help.
Right.
Okay. And I'll give you an example. My cousin farms a lot of land, and I can't even imagine how much he has. But anyway, he's been recruiting his sons to stay and run the farm. And they all have, their own jobs, but they've been coming back. But that's kind of an anomaly. I don't think you're going to see that happening as much. So as farms get bigger, you need more help, bigger equipment. Autonomous vehicles can handle a lot of this. One example, as I've talked about, was the autonomous trucks, where they go from one field to other, especially during combining season, pick up the grain, head into the grain elevator.
And I think that, along with robots, will really change a lot of things. I think the robotic part of it, I think about the dangerous aspects of farming, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where you want to use robots, is when things are dangerous, if you're dealing with dangerous chemicals and that type of thing.
I mean, riding a John Deere is one thing, but some of that stuff is risky.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's probably things that you don't do now because it is so risky.
Yes.
Where if you could deploy a robot to clean out the inside of a
or you have to pay some guy through the nose to get him to do it if it's really
and they
dangerous.
have to suit up. And I'm thinking I remember a couple of gentlemen a couple of years ago up in the Minot area that were killed because they were working around anhydrous.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, dangerous stuff. And
I remember hearing about children who were killed from farm equipment. It does happen.
It happens all the time. So it really does. So that's a wonderful thing, too, that hopefully that this is going to be a rarer thing as we move forward with technology doing some of these more dangerous things for us. So, and the other thing with technology, too, that I thought with the trip, Dave, is afterwards when we stopped by the farm. What'd you think of stopping by and visiting there?
Well, I was kind of, I guess they had already shut down, but I wanted to go and see how they actually made the flour and everything like that, and we didn't get a chance to do that.
So this young lady has acquired a farm that stone mills grain into flour.
Right.
And she uses the internet to sell it, and she sells a lot. I mean, she sustains herself with this place. I think she has, 560 acres?
Yep.
Something like that. So, and for those across country, I mean, a 560-acre farm in North Dakota isn't a huge farm, is it? And probably in Saskatchewan, kind of the same thing. So, but if you're actually selling a product that's being produced from that 560 acres, you can then make a living from that. I mean, if you're selling an organic flour or whatever, so she has this whole process and she sells it online and has employees, bought this old farmstead, and the farmhouse is actually the office.
Yep.
I had a hard time with that right away. I thought I was walking into her home.
Right.
And I think you did too, right? And then all of a sudden, the whole place is really the office for the place.
Well, this is kind of, she bought this from another family
Right.
that started it. I don't know how many years ago, you know.
I think back in the 60s, actually.
Yeah, and she's picked up on it. And
Right.
the other cool thing,
but
is
they didn't have the internet before.
No, exactly.
That's what's changed the whole thing for that operation.
And the other thing that we picked up on is that there's more people coming to her with products, organic
Right.
products that she's helping them market
Right.
as well.
Yeah, we went there to buy flour, and we bought all kinds of other stuff. While we were
I
there,
still haven't tried the popcorn yet. Have
So
you?
yeah, I tried it. It's different. I'll
Is
put it
it?
that way.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it was still good. It just wasn't. If that's what I had all the time, it would be just fantastic. I guess so I have to get used to it. But anyway, after the break, we are going to break down the top robotic autonomous lawnmowers. So you want to come back for that.
I love it.
Right now, 66.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on SuperTalk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. Here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Man, I walk outside, I look at that lovely green grass, and I think, oh man, I gotta mow it today, or maybe not. And then I come back and look at it again tomorrow, and it's like it got longer, it didn't get shorter. So then, so the average American spends nearly 70 hours on lawn care every year.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I do too, actually.
Some people do.
But there are some times that, I mean, if I'm really, really busy and I look at it, I mean, I feel this stress of actually having to mow my yard sometimes, so because I like to have my yard look okay, and I know you do too.
I think we all do. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
important. In fact, a friend of mine told me, he says, man, you guys have the best groomed yards around.
Oh, around.
You know,
Grooviest
that comes
yard
from out of
around.
town.
Right,
I mean,
right.
he said it's not a mess.
Yeah, people do take pride in that
Yeah.
area with their
Well,
yards.
we don't get to experience it that long. So
That's
we
true.
Take advantage of
That
it.
is true.
That's
That is
true.
true. So anyway, but if you're tired of it, or maybe you hire it out. I mean, I've done that a few times over the last few years. I've hired it out, but that's expensive. I mean, it costs $60 every time somebody mows my yard. I mean, that's crazy
Oh,
expensive.
you're paying $60 to mow your yard.
That's a good question,
Find
Jim.
some kid in the neighborhood
Well-
who'll do it for 5 or 10.
Well, I think Jim thinks he has a job.
Do you actually know a kid that'll do a yard for $5 or $10 now?
Well, I have to say I've spent the last 15 years in apartment buildings, so I don't know.
yeah,
No.
I don't think
I'm going
the
back
size
a
of my
ways on
yard,
that one, yeah.
I can't imagine anybody doing it for $5 or $10.
I'm going back to when I lived with my parents briefly between radio jobs.
Yes.
And I was the one who mowed the yard.
Yeah, I was excited when I made $5 when I mowed.
Oh,
it.
And
man,
in
I
return, I
remember-
was allowed to live there.
Yeah.
I remember mowing 4 or 5 lawns.
Yep.
It was all within a block.
Yeah.
I had one lawnmower. It actually was the guy that paid me. He had his lawnmower because
Did
my
he let
mom
you
and
borrow
dad
it?
rented
Right.
the place, and
Okay.
he just said, I was an old lawn boy.
That's pretty cool.
And I
You were a
get
lawnmower
frustrated
man.
with that
Yeah.
dang thing. Let me tell you.
Well, if you don't want to mess with that anymore, there are actually quite a few choices now for
Yeah.
autonomous lawnmowers.
Yay! You have like a
So-
Roomba for your
Yeah,
grass?
that's exactly what it is, a Roomba
Yeah.
for your grass. I love that, Jim.
Yeah.
So, and all of these, they're not going to collect your grass clippings. So I'll just give you the preface behind these things. So they're going to run over your yard. They're going to do it more often than you do. The idea is, think of it like the green on a golf course. The goal of the lawnmower is to keep your grass the same height all the time.
Yes.
So it's going to go out and probably mow your yard. I mean, you can set the frequency to it, but it's better if you let it mow it every day or every other day, right? Because it's going to go out there. It's just going to keep it nice and trim all the time.
Oh, that's
and
good.
then you don't have to worry about the grass clippings. They'll break down. They'll
They're supposed to
into
be
your yard.
good
They're
for
supposed to be
your
good
grass,
for your grass
and
anyway.
stuff like
So-
that. I collect mine in the bag.
Well, I do too
Yeah.
most of the time, but I like to leave a little bit down because it does keep the moisture in the ground and that type
Now,
of thing.
when I
So-
was, my dad never collected the grass clippings at all. He just left them there.
Yeah. Well, I think
Some
it's
people
the best for it, I think
Yeah.
the challenge is that your yard builds up over time and
Right.
it gets a little higher, and then the sprinkler heads don't work like they're supposed to and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have a list of 5 that range anywhere from $3,000 down to $600. Mm-hmm. And when you think about that, if you're going to spend 70 hours on your yard this year, and you don't, or you're paying somebody, I mean, you think about $50 or $60 a week over the course of the next 5 or 6 months. I mean, $50 over 24 weeks. That's $1,200.
Oh, what does a standard lawn mower go for these days?
I've seen them, as low as like $299
well, you can get a lawnmower.
$699, $799.
You can get a lawnmower under $200.
Yeah,
I mean a cheaper one.
Yeah.
I just bought a brand new one. It was $400 with an electric start and everything on it. So I thought that was a pretty good.
Oh man, I love cranking that.
Oh, you can do that. You can do that with this one too.
Spend all morning getting going.
Yep. But so you can spend a lot. I mean, what's a riding lawnmower cost?
Oh man, those got to be $2,300,
and more,
and more.
Yeah,
depending on what features you
want.
Right,
exactly.
The thing is, I got a kick out of these people that have these riding lawnmowers, and they just got a small lawn. Now, if I had out in the country, you want one of those, right?
I agree with that.
But anyway, I have my John Deere riding lawnmower, and I'm wearing my John Deere hat.
Well, the first one on the list is the Honda Mimo 3000. It runs actually about $3,000. It's $2,800. Brought to you by Honda, and it shouldn't surprise you that Honda's in this space because they're also developing robots.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So they have the Asimo robot, and it's the and so they're actually a pioneer in robotic lawn care. The Mimo 3000 is one of the favorites offerings on the market. This model can do up to an acre. So that's probably one of the things that you're going to have to, if you spend a little bit more money, you might have a little bit bigger yard. So if you got an acre to mow, you're probably not doing it by hand.
No.
You have a riding lawnmower. So $3,000 for a robotic lawnmower probably doesn't seem so bad, It uses a continuous cutting system. It means that the machine trims your yard by about an inch multiple times a week. So that's how it works. It just will continue to go over. And then it allows you to, and what you have, basically most of these have an electric fence, or think of the invisible fence that like a dog would have in your yard.
Yep.
That's what keeps these things in the place, right? There are a couple of them that are coming out now that you can set the GPS sensors on them to keep it within your yard as well, so you don't have to lay down the invisible fence. But the invisible fence is by far the better route to go right now. So there's a couple hours of work in front of doing this. But then after that, you just let it do its thing, and maybe an hour or two every year to maintain it, and that's it.
I got an idea. If my neighbor gets one, and I can break into his system, I can get that lawnmower over to my place as well. And so we break down that electric fence, figure out some way, and pretty soon that lawnmower's mowing my grass.
Well, Dave Lehman, right? We're going to pick on Dave a little bit, right? Yeah. So he owns 5 he built 5 rentals next to each other,
right?
Townhouses, right? He has one mower that does all 5 yards.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he put down the electric fence to do it. So what you're talking about, why not go in with 2 or 3 neighbors?
Exactly.
Then that 3,000 doesn't, that's $1,000 a piece, and then none of you have to worry about
I had an arrangement with my neighbor that we had a snowblower and a lawnmower. But in the wintertime, he had the lawnmower and I got the snowblower. And then in the summer, I had the lawnmower. He got the snowblower. I thought it was really good, but he didn't like it.
It's a good arrangement.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So the next one on the list is the Works Landroid. The Works Landroid. And you've probably seen Works, WORX equipment out there when you go shopping for yard stuff or whatever. So one of the most reasonable priced ones, this one is actually $900. $900 for an autonomous robotic lawnmower. And probably the biggest difference is that it doesn't like inclement weather. So, I take that back. This one actually detects rain. The unit will automatically disengage and return to its docking station to recharge until the weather is cleared.
Well, these are all electric, so I'm sure you got to be somewhat sensitive to.
Well, I think they're fine. Yeah. I mean, they're kind of waterproof, so you don't have to worry about that so much. But
I think our caller's on the line.
All right. Well, we'll I guess maybe go to our caller.
Okay, let's go. Whoops.
Our caller.
All right.
We'll go back.
All right. So then the next one on the list is the Husqvarna Automower 450X. This one's a $3,500 one. This is one that Dave has, by the way. This one will do an
Not
acre.
this Dave, the other Dave.
Dave Blair, yeah. Or Dave Lehman, yes. So this one will actually do 1 1/4 acres. The thing I love about this one, the Husqvarna, remember RoboCop?
Oh, yes.
This thing looks like RoboCop
Yep.
rolling down your yard. This thing is absolutely amazing. So,
Hello.
I
think we got our caller.
Hey, do we have Don?
Dan from Photo Spring.
Dan, all right. We're going to put you on hold just for a second, Dan, all right?
We'll be right with you, sir. Thank you.
And we have the next one on the list is the RoboMow. So the RoboMow, you have to set up your boundary wiring initially before, and then you can let it loose. And it does 3/4 of an acre, and it runs $2,500. So you can kind of see the difference. The other thing that's interesting about this is it does slopes up to 20 degrees. So I think the Husqvarna does 25-degree slopes. So, I mean, if you're going down to like a lake shore or something, you need to take that into consideration too. Some of these inclines, when you think about it, it's difficult to mow. I mean, up a hill or whatever, right? Some of these autonomous lawnmowers will actually mow those, which is, I think of some of the hills right in Mandan, for example, that people manually mow those things.
Yeah.
Some of them have ropes.
Yeah.
You drop it down with a rope and bring it back
No,
up.
I think that's a great application
Yep.
for this.
So, and then the last one on the list is the RoboMow.
You know, I love these names. I think that's what's so cool about
the RoboMow. Now, the RoboMow is a $600 autonomous lawnmower. So it's designed for small yards, but and it doesn't have all the technology like, you know, it doesn't set up to your network, doesn't have an app with it, that type of thing. You just set it up with its electric fence or invisible fence and let it go. It is kind of a cool-looking thing, though. It's got two wheels kind of in the middle of it. Almost looks like one of the Segways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kind of look to it, right? So it does have some limitations, but if you only have a small yard and don't ever want to worry about it, the RoboMow might actually be the route to go.
So can you program those from your phone?
Not the RoboMow.
Okay.
But the other four you can.
Yes.
Yep. That's one of the things about the RoboMow and why it's only $600
right.
Is that you can't do that. So after the break, everybody, we're going to be talking about Photo Spring. You're going to love this product. Come on back.
Currently at 69.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. SuperTalk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And in studio, producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh. And off to my right, Mr. Rockin' Dave Blair, a frequent contributor. And, oh, that's right. The geezer is woke up.
I resemble that remark.
You just never know when he's going to wake up in that corner over there. So, absolutely. So, anyway, CEO and co-founder Dan Ho launched PhotoSpring in 2014 with the goal of redefining the digital photo and video experience by creating new ways to help people stay connected. Dan holds a Master of Business Administration from Stanford University Business School and a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and computer science from UC Berkeley. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we're excited to have you on board. You sound like you were pretty busy coming out of high school.
Yeah, I mean, at Cal was pretty tough, but Stanford was pretty nice.
That's wonderful. So
big difference between those schools.
I can about imagine. So we had the privilege of actually visiting with you a little bit at CES. So was this your first time at CES?
Oh no, I've I worked at Sony for a while, so
okay.
I've attended CES a few times, but I think it was pretty much my first time, kind of in the pit where as a startup. So,
sure.
It was quite a different experience.
I'm curious, though, before we get into your product a little bit, what did you think of the experience, being there as a startup?
CES has gotten so big. We were worried that we would kind of get lost in the mix. So if you go into the convention hall, there's hundreds and hundreds of companies, thousands, and they have these huge budgets for these, humongous booths. And so we were afraid we would just get lost there. So the event that we did, which we met at, was actually perfect for us. It was smaller. mostly other startups. And because our product is very visual, I think it helped us to attract people to come and take a look at what we had to offer.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. It's good to know that the smaller venue actually worked for you. So that's fantastic. So,
right.
So totally. tell us a little bit about PhotoSpring.
Yeah. So PhotoSpring started when my co-founder Charles Huang and I, who we both went to UC Berkeley together and also worked at Sony together in their photo group. When we started to have kids, we would have issues getting the photos to our parents. And so we started talking about different ways of doing this. And I ended up using my iPad and sending photos to my parents that way using iCloud. And it wasn't very easy. So we decided to build a photo frame that would make it really easy to push the photos and the videos that are currently stuck on your smartphone or your computer, and make them really easy to allow family members to see photos. In addition to yourself, you can own one yourself and do this too.
Sure. So tell me, let's say I buy a PhotoSpring for my mother for Mother's Day coming up here, and explain that process. How would that work then? She opens this up, and I want to start sharing photos from, my family so that she can see those on her photo frame.
Right. Okay. So the way that we send photos to a frame is through Wi-Fi. So that means that using your smartphone, we have an app on the smartphone. We have a web browser, and we have apps on PC and Mac. So using all the different methods, you can send photos from anywhere in the world to a frame. And the approximate time that it takes to upload and download a photo depends on an internet connection, but I would say it's about a minute for you to upload one photo and have it arrive at the frame ready to be viewed. And then when it arrives at the frame, the frame has a built-in battery and a touch screen, and so it operates a lot like some of the photo frames that you might have seen starting in, let's say, 2006. They've been around for a while, where you can see photos throughout the day, and they rotate through in kind of like a slideshow. Mm-hmm. But you can also pick up the frame because it has a battery and a touch screen and browse photos just like a photo album. And so you can go from the next one to the next one. So if a certain photo catches your mother's interest, she can pick it up, sit down with it on the couch, and just look through all the different photos that you've been sending through, like a specific period of time.
So are you able to take... Go ahead.
But, I was going to say that makes it very interactive, right? It's not just something that sits there that you can't stop and enjoy. So
is this something that that the photo frame or the PhotoSpring actually stores then? So I can actually take this with me because it's a battery operated device?
Yeah, so all the photos that we send to the frame are actually stored on the frame. They're only stored in the cloud for enough time for the frame to actually pick them up. And then once the frame picks them up, we erase them from the cloud, and they're completely stored on the frame. And what that means is if you lose the internet connection, let's say you go out of town and you don't have internet, you still have those photos that you can see. And because of the battery life, it's about 4 to 5 hours. You can browse for a really long time.
Sure. So what about video? I mean, if I shoot a short video when we're on our next trip to Disney World or whatever, can I send that to the PhotoSpring as well?
Yeah. So people are taking so many videos these days that that was pretty much a requirement for us. If we don't handle video, you're probably missing out on a lot of the nuance of what's happening with children growing up, for instance. So it works much in the same way as photos do. You can upload a video from anywhere in the world to the frame, and then when the video shows up, you can either have it automatically play as part of the slideshow and then move on to the next item, or you can have it show as a still where you have to press it, and then it plays, and then you can move on to the next one.
So how do we find out more about it? Where do we get one? Give us all those details.
Sure. You can find out more about PhotoSpring at photospring.com. That's our website.
Okay.
And it's available for purchase there. And it's also available on Amazon.
Okay.
And it comes in a 16 gigabyte version and a 32 gigabyte version. And we also have different colors. We have white, black, and then different shades of red, blue, and green.
So do you have one quick story that maybe you can share with us that maybe has touched you a little bit about, an experience that maybe somebody's had with your product? Putting you on the spot here, man.
Yeah, the experience that I kind of, obviously I'm here at the office and at home testing our frames all the time, and most of the time I load up random test photos, but occasionally I'll load up photos from years and years ago, just because it's just a condition of testing, right? And when I do that, my wife, I have one in our kitchen, and my wife will often stop and take a look at them, and it kind of brings back like why we're doing this, because she'll stop and she'll say, hey, I totally forgot that we had this trip, and our son was so young back then, and it's really great that he, what he was like back then, or how he laughed, and then she'll spend hours, literally hours, on the frame just looking back at those older photos. And then because I test a lot, I delete them, and then she gets mad. But,
you have a question, Dave?
That kind of illustrates, like why we do this. It's
I got one quick question.
It's not really the technology; it's the memory.
I got one quick question.
How easy it is to bring those memories to people.
Thanks for sharing. One quick question. A lot of times people are overseas, grandpas and grandmas and that kind of stuff. This works very well to send all of that information to them if they're in Germany or Australia or wherever.
Yeah, so we have customers who send photos from the U.S. to Germany, France. Awesome. We had a customer buy a frame in Saudi Arabia.
All right, we're right against the clock, Dan, here. Can you give us one more time where we can find more information?
Yeah, it's at photospring.com is our website.
All right.
And you can also find us on Amazon. Just search for PhotoSpring.
All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks,
right.
Mr. Jim. Have a great weekend or week, everybody.
You've been listening to The Tech Ranch, live and local on SuperTalk 1270. Keep ahead of the trends.
Tune in every Monday morning at 11 a.m. for The Tech Ranch.
Exclusively here on SuperTalk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.